What if the person you cannot explain is not just a soulmate, but your twin flame? Because there are certain signs this connection shows you before your mind can fully understand it. And once you notice them, you may never look at this person the same way again. There is a kind of connection that does not feel like an ordinary crush or an ordinary romance or even an ordinary love story. It feels stronger than that. It feels familiar before it fully makes sense to you. It feels intense in a way that is difficult to stay neutral about it. And it feels as though this person is reaching places inside you that nobody else has ever managed to touch in quite the same way. And if you have met someone like that, then what you're experiencing might not just be attraction. It might be something much deeper. Because the strangest part about a true twin flame connection is the strongest signs usually do not show up only in what happens between you on the outside. They show up in what this connection keeps awakening in you, the way it mirrors you, the way it steers you, the way it pulls hidden emotions, hidden wounds, and hidden truths to the surface all at once. Because a twin flame is not just someone who makes you feel wanted. A twin flame is often described as someone who reveals you to yourself. And once a connection starts doing that to you particularly, it becomes very difficult to dismiss it as something ordinary. In the next few minutes, I will show you why a twin flame feels completely different from a soulmate, the signs that this connection is awakening something deeply familiar inside you, the emotional clues that show this person understands you on a level that most people never do, and the hardest sign of all, the one that shows this connection is not just beautiful but deeply transformative. And in the end, I will reveal the most important thing that you need to remember about twin flame connections. Now, let's have a look at this. If this message found you today, it definitely means there's someone in your life who has been affecting you in a way you cannot fully explain. Maybe you think about them more than you expected to. Maybe the connection feels strangely intense even when nothing dramatic is happening, and part of you feels comforted around them, like a comfort energy, while another part of you feels completely exposed. And that contradiction matters, because one of the biggest reasons people begin wondering whether they have met a twin flame is not that the connection feels simple, is that it feels significant. It feels like something inside you is being activated, something emotional, spiritual, older than the moment you are living in right now. So if you have been asking yourself whether this person is simply important or whether they could be your twin flame, now pay attention. But first align with my energy by tapping on this card and leave your amen in the comments. And now pay attention. Why this connection feels different. The first sign you may have found your twin flame is that this connection does not feel like a soulmate connection at all, and that difference is more important than most people realize, because a soulmate often feels like a beautiful match, someone who supports you, who fits naturally into your life, but a twin flame is often described in a very different way. A twin flame does not just comfort you, a twin flame mirrors you, not only in the easy parts of who you are, but in the hidden parts as well. Where a soulmate may bring peace, a twin flame often brings intensity. Where a soulmate may feel harmonious, a twin flame can feel transformative. Many people say soulmate connections feel smoother, while twin flame connections can feel like emotional opposites, somehow being pulled towards the same center. And I totally agree with that, even from my psychic perspective. One may be calm while the other is impulsive. One is private while the other is expressive. One is craving closeness while the other fears what closeness will awaken. And yet, despite those differences, something keeps drawing them back together. And that is what makes this kind of connection so difficult to ignore, because it does not always feel easy, but it feels powerful. And that is the first sign. The second sign is that this person seems to completely release something inside you that had been quiet for a very long time, not because you're incomplete without them in some literal sense, but because the connection activates something deeply familiar within you. So there's an old philosophical idea as well that human beings were once like split in two halves, and I believe it because I've seen it psychically how sometimes we are split in two different halves, being destined to search for one another in this lifetime. Whether you take that literally or not, it definitely does capture the feeling that I have psychically as well. Now, this is something very, very powerful. It's a very strong kind of familiar energy that I'm picking up in terms of this vibration. Definitely, you're not going to be able to hide this person's emotions or to hide your own emotions or your own vibrations. I'm sensing that it's obviously, from my perspective, there's a quiet recognition in this person's energy. When they see you, they feel like their heart is burning. Yeah, literally, they feel a burn in their heart. Now, obviously, this is feeling different for a reason, but the real shift in a twin flame connection is not just that it feels familiar, is what that familiarity brings to do to you emotionally, what that brings and what that begins to do to you, I meant to say, because once someone starts feeling this deep connection, this energy, it's just there's another set of signs that then begin to appear after that. Signs that show this connection is not only intense on the surface, but deeply wired into your emotional world. And these are the signs that make the bond much harder to dismiss. So let's talk about the next clues that reveal just how deeply this person is reaching you. The other sign is that this person seems to understand you on a level that most people never do. There are people who know your habits, who know your history, who know your personality, but then they are the rare ones who seem to understand your emotional wiring itself. This is one of the clearest signs people associate with a twin flame connection. You might feel like this person reads what you are feeling without needing a long explanation. They notice mood shifts and they pick up on what you're not saying. They understand the contradiction inside you, the part that wants love deeply and fears it at the same time. And sometimes that can feel almost unsettling because being seen that deeply is extremely rare. Another sign is that being with them teaches you lessons you could not avoid forever. Twin flame connections are often described as deeply educational, not in a classroom sense, but in an emotional growth sense. This is not someone who you just enjoy being around. This is someone who seems to trigger realizations in you. And even if it feels sometimes it feels like it's hurting a lot. It's hurting your energy. It hurts. Don't take it personal, because this is how twin flame connections work as well. Now, the hardest twin flame sign and those are not just the beautiful ones, actually, they're the signs that show this connection is forcing transmutation, because the moment someone reaches you that deeply, they do not only awaken love, they awaken fear, old wounds, everything inside you that can no longer stay hidden. And that is where the connection stops feeling simply magical and starts feeling life-changing. So now let's talk about the signs that reveal this bond is not just powerful, but deeply transformative as well. How this connection changes you, basically. Now, this is something that this connection forces you to face. It forces you to face your fears, my love. This is where the twin flame idea becomes much less romantic and more intense, because the twin flame connection is often said to bring also hidden fears to the surface. Fear of abandonment, rejection, fear of intimacy, fear of losing control, fear of not being enough. And instead of letting you avoid those things, the bond often places them right in front of you, and that can feel so painful. It creates emotional highs and lows, confusion. It makes the connection feel overwhelming at times. But many people believe this is exactly why it matters as well. And I believe that we should look and have a completely different perspective about this as well. This is definitely not a forgettable connection either. But before the reading ends, there is one final sign that matters more than all the others. Because all the intensity, all the familiarity, All the emotional recognition, all the lessons, the fears, the transformation, none of it matters what people, none of it means either what people want it to mean, unless you understand this last truth. And this is the sign many people do not want to hear, because it is the one that reveals whether the connection is simply powerful or whether you are mature enough to understand what powerful love actually asks of you. So let's look at the final sign, the hardest of all. The last sign, and the most important, is that sometimes even if the connection is real, it's not always meant to fully come together right now. And this is one of the hardest truths in the entire twin flame journey. And I even feel a lot of pain in my chest as I'm saying this right now. Many people also assume that if a connection feels this deep, it must automatically be meant to work out immediately. But intensity does not always mean readiness. Recognition doesn't feel always like timing, proper timing. And deep love doesn't always mean two people are emotionally prepared at the same moment. Sometimes in this case, in this scenario, the bond is real, but one or both people are still healing, still growing, resisting as well, still learning what this connection came to teach. And that can be heartbreaking, because someone can feel deeply significant to you and still not be able to walk beside you in the way that you hoped. But that does not automatically make the connection false. Sometimes the lesson is part of the bond, the transformation is part of the purpose, and the timing is still unfolding. And when you understand that, you stop measuring the connection only by whether it's easy. You start understanding it by how deeply it changes you. And now, if you've been asking whether this person is your twin flame, here is what matters the most. A twin flame connection is not defined by one moment of attraction. It is not defined by fantasy, and it is not defined by emotional obsession alone. It is defined by recognition, intensity, mirroring, growth, vulnerability, transformation, the kind of connection that makes you feel deeply seen, steered, deeply changed. So ask yourself this: does this person only comfort you, or do they really reveal you? Do they simply fit into your life, or do they awaken parts of you that have been waiting to come alive? Because if this connection feels familiar, intense, emotionally exposing, transformative, and impossible to dismiss, then there is a real chance you have not just met someone important, you met your twin flame. And that's why I'm here to confirm you this, my love. Before you go, I want to invite you to share something with me. Every twin flame story unfolds differently, and I always find it fascinating to hear how these energies are appearing in your life. If this message resonated with you, tell me your story in the comments. Tell me what this connection feels for you. I read all of your comments, and I really do my best to reply to most of you. Now that you understand as well the signs that you may have found your twin flame, the next question is, what stage of the twin flame journey are you in right now? And I'll make a video about that one tomorrow. Thank you very much.